You know that saying, a good conversation is like a miniskirt? Wait, you don't? You've never heard that? Oh, well, watch today's video and I'll tell you exactly what I mean and how it also applies to feedback. If having better communication and conversations and being a better leader is something you're interested in learning more about, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell to be notified when I post new content each week. So, what the heck do I mean by a good conversation is like a miniskirt? Well, I'm borrowing this phrase from Celeste Headlee. I can't take credit. I had the pleasure of seeing Ms. Headlee speak at a conference last fall, and the moment she said this phrase, I just fell in love. I thought it was fantastic. And she actually borrowed the quote from her sister, and the full quote is, "A good conversation is like a miniskirt, short enough to retain interest, but long enough to cover the subject." Pure genius. I love it. And I thought, not only does this really apply to general conversations, but also to providing feedback. And in today's video, I'm going to talk to you more about that and how it applies to feedback. In my video on the 5 components of effective feedback, I talk about the importance of being specific when providing feedback. And this is where the length of the miniskirt comes into play in our analogy, because you want to provide enough information to be helpful. So enough, it needs to be long enough to cover the subject. If you are providing vague statements like, "good job," or "that presentation wasn't great, do better next time," you're not really providing enough information to help the person out, to cover the subject. You really need to provide a little more information and be specific so they know what behavior they should repeat and or what behaviors they should change or improve upon or what they should do differently next time. Conversely, however, you don't need to nitpick every single thing they've done over the last 3 weeks. You don't need to drone on and on telling them what they should or shouldn't do moving forward. Provide enough information with specificity so they know exactly what they should do again or where they need to improve, but don't drone on and on and on and on. And when providing feedback, you not only want to keep the conversation itself brief, but you want to limit the things that you're going to talk about to 1 or 2 things at most. You don't want to tackle a big long list of things. So you want to keep the items that you are discussing, whether it be positive or critical feedback, to 1 or 2 items. Providing feedback about a laundry list of things will just overwhelm the person. They might listen to you for the first few minutes or for the first couple of things, but they're quickly going to shut down and tune you out. And even worse, they might lose all motivation to change anything that you've talked about. And ideally, if you are providing feedback on a regular, ongoing, real-time basis, you won't have this big long list of things to talk about anyway. This generally happens when people save up feedback for a performance review, or they just let time go by and let feedback build up and instead of providing it in a timely manner. I recommend you watch my video on the importance of timing with feedback, especially if you are somebody who puts off having difficult conversations or tends to delay giving feedback. That video is really helpful. The other thing to keep in mind is the whole purpose of feedback, to help somebody grow and improve. If you're providing this long list of things, you're setting them up for failure right from the beginning. No one can successfully tackle more than 1 to 2 things when it comes to behavior change. I mean, think about how many times you have attempted a long list of New Year's resolutions or a brand new exercise routine and or a diet and or you're going to change this. Chances are if you've tried to change a bunch of things at the same time, you probably haven't been very successful. That's normal. And if you have been successful in keeping a New Year's resolution or starting a new exercise routine or any other type of behavior change or creating a new habit, it's because you likely focused on 1, maybe 2 small changes at a time. If you try to take on too much or expect someone else to take on too much when it comes to feedback and change, you're setting them up for failure, and that's just not fair. Let me know in the comments below if this has happened to you, if you've been guilty of trying to take on too many things and maybe you're good at first, but pretty quickly it became overwhelming. If that's happened to you, I know it has certainly happened to me on more than one occasion. Even though I know better, I still do it sometimes. So if you've had that happen to you, let us know in the comments below. In the interest of taking my own advice, I'm going to keep this video short and sweet, and I'll recap with the same quote that we started with. A good conversation is like a miniskirt, short enough to retain interest, but long enough to cover the subject. So keep that in mind next time you are having a conversation and/or a feedback session. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please go ahead and hit that like button below and subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. And check out my other videos on what not to do when giving feedback and how to receive and process feedback. And be sure to check back each week when I release new content. Be well and be courageous.